going on, ladies and gentlemen, saints and ainks, and welcome to Track Talk, a part of the Lactic Acid Network. I'm your host, Dominique Smith, and as always, you know, we got it started a little bit early. Coach Shields got exposed up there drinking Pepsi, which I didn't think they sold anymore. I thought it was
No,
just
Coca-Cola. It is a Coca-Cola.
Okay,
it don't matter.
It's bad.
You know
It's
what?
bad. I know.
Okay.
Hey man, but
All right.
listen, these two gentlemen, if you watch the channel, they need no introduction. He's at the bottom of my screen, Coach Rob Lewis, and at the top left hand of my screen, Coach Brett Shields. Gentlemen, what's going on with you? How you feeling?
We're good. How you doing?
Doing good. Doing good,
Hey,
man.
we chilling, man.
Always
Hey,
glad
Rob,
to be here with you.
I see the UCF apparel, you know, had to rep it and everything. I like the hat.
I'm repping it. I got to keep it going. Got to keep it going.
Well,
Although it'll be switching to Michigan soon.
Oh God! Well, I'm an Ohio State fan. Why are you bringing that crap in here, man?
Because the money they offering.
That's fair. That's fair. Money talks. So,
the money they offering.
Well,
yeah.
that's what we always say. Follow the money.
Follow the money.
Paper
the money
trail.
they offering. Go blue.
Hey,
right. Seriously.
Yeah. Well, like you said, follow the money, but we still loyal to Ohio State. And before we get started, have a couple rest in peace. John Hitt, the former president of UCF, passed away. Want to send our condolences to his family. And one of the best hurdlers, Mr. Foster, the track and field family. Want to send condolences to his family as well. Let's get started with, there's so many things going on in the sport, but I had to narrow it down to two. So let's just start with the negative. Did you guys see the payout for indoors? So for those who are not aware, first place got $6,000. Second place got $4,500. Third place, if I'm not mistaken, got $2,500. Fourth place got $1,500. Fifth place got $1,000. And so I'm not sure. And so just to start, I do want to say this. One of the most impressive records that we saw in the weekend of the indoor championships did not happen at the indoor championships. It happened in Idaho, where Ryan Krauser broke the shot put record. And if I'm not mistaken, his throw was further than his outdoor.
Yeah. No, he didn't just break. He broke every record. Yes.
He has
indoor, outdoor.
All time.
All time record. Yep.
Yeah.
The crowd in Idaho State, it was on their football field. It was sold out. Like it was jam-packed. I don't know the reasons for, Krauser specifically choosing that meet instead of indoors. But when you look at the payout of what he would have gotten, forget breaking the record. Just say he beat Joe Kovacs. Just the payout that he would have gotten, not including, the cut for the agent and, the taxes and all that stuff. You kind of see why you would go to Idaho. Go to Idaho, then go to Albuquerque to compete. And it's one of those things, man. I sound like a broken record when I say we find ways in the sport to just sabotage ourselves, because I don't think there's money in indoor anyway. Indoors for entertainment, and if you're an elite athlete, if you need to work on something.
Yes.
And if you are an athlete, just trying to get some exposure, just a little bit, because, they'll say he was an indoor champion. Some exposure, specifically if it's a world championship indoor year, you do it for that. But there is more to lose. You spend $6,000 to fly out there just not to break even if you win. And so when I see these payouts, it's just like, who really thought this was acceptable? like
Well, it sure wasn't the president of USATF because he getting paid.
well, he gets paid more in a day than they
Yes.
did for winning, but it's just
Right.
But we talk about Siegel. That's fine, but somebody has to sign off on everything that he does.
That's right.
So somebody has to
Right.
sign off on
The
all
board,
of this.
the governing board, the CFO, and they're all looking at this and have made it. And again, these determinations were made well in advance. This wasn't
Yep.
like they did it at the meet. They
Right.
were well in advance in deciding how much their payouts are going to be. So they have that pool of money. They determine how we're going to split it up and how it's going to go about. Which is, again, when you see a number of $6,000, you just go like, why did you even bother?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, and you look at some of the athletes, and again, if you really want an indoor championship, look how many of the elite athletes didn't show up, didn't come. It was like, because it doesn't behoove them to go there for $6,000
Not worth it.
and risk just a twinge or a strain or anything for $6,000. That's not something they're going to do. And the shoe companies are saying, I'm not paying you if you go out there for that foolishness and stuff. So you're not going, their shoe company's not going to be honoring anything they do. And $6,000 isn't going to make up for the loss of income they get from the shoe company. So they're like, I'm not going. So I can't see why anyone would look like that. I think part of the problem is, again, for me personally, the shoe companies have too much power and they are determining some of this stuff. And if you really wanted people there, then put the money out. How's it that every freaking golf tournament that's out there, there's these large payouts? Some of them, like this last one, whatever it was, the Genesis Open or whatever. How many times have you sat down and watched the Genesis Open? How many times, honestly? You don't pay, but the payout was monster. Why? Well, because they had Tiger and some of the best in the world. The dude Rahm is the best in the world coming, and they got the payouts for it. And here's an indoor championship, and they're paying $6,000. I mean, it just, if you build it, they will come. If you pay them, they will come. I don't understand why they think this is going to happen. We're going to be happy with this. They're excited about this. So between the shoe companies and there's one other, Coach Shield's favorite one, NBC. Again, you have the money. If you're paying billions for football, if you're paying billions for baseball, track and field is not going to ask for $1 billion. Track and field would be foolish to ask for $1 billion. But track and field should be saying, look, we need X amount of dollars to sustain us through some of these meets and to get the athletes to show up. It's not a team sport. They're not going to show up if you guys are saying, hey, your payout for winning is $6,000. And if you have a bad day, it's $1,000. They're like, that ain't even my airfare. Like you said, Dom, that's not even my airfare. They're not going to come.
Yeah. No, it don't behoove them at all to come for the U.S. top athletes to come, go there to some, spend money to have to go there.
Yep.
Or, even if they get comped, perhaps, they get comped their room and maybe some per diem meal, something like that, perhaps. But but for $6,000, you still, at best, I mean, you come home with lunch money.
Well, you think about it. That $6,000 isn't going to cover their team, their agent, their massage therapist, their nutrition, all the people that travel with them. That's not going to cover them. So it's like you're wasting your time. It's just ridiculous.
Wasting time, especially when they can go to Europe and make 3 times that. Easy.
Yes.
Easy. And have in front of a packed house.
Yes.
That really appreciates it.
Fred Kerley is racing Thursday in Melbourne, in Australia.
Yeah, in Australia. Yeah,
Australia. Did you see the crowd that witnessed Femke Bol break the world record in the 400?
Oh, it was jam packed.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like I said, who would have thought Idaho was the spot to be in? But now you understand it. And to be honest with you, the funding for a world record, if you break a world record, what is it, like $100,000? I personally don't think that's enough. You need to be scratching $500,000 because you did something so extraordinary that no one else has done in history.
Right.
And so it needs to come not just, and we have, I want to know, maybe you got to know this, what takes these records so long to get ratified?
Oh, yeah.
Because
It'll be a year before Femke Bowles' record will be ratified.
Record is ratified. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, that's crazy. Or even I ain't Femke Bowles, Aaliyah Hobbs.
Yes, Aaliyah Hobbs, exactly.
Her American record.
Yep.
Right. So, I mean, which was, hey, kudos, big ups to her for that. That was a heck of a race.
Yep. Yeah, she made what $100 for $1,000 for every second. Yeah, that's
for every second. Right. That's right.
I mean, I looked at it, man. When I first saw it, I said, this is abysmal. Like, this is
it's horrible. It's horrible. I mean, there was nothing. If I'm one of the elite, today's elite athletes, there is nothing that they're presenting right now that would make me want to come to the indoor championships.
Nope, not a thing.
Nothing.
And
they can, Nike. I mean, you barely heard from Nike.
Yep.
I mean, NBC. The best thing they did was put Lewis Johnson in a suit and a bow tie. I mean, besides that, I mean, they dropped the ball completely.
Yeah. The thing is, I can't even say they dropped the ball because it was. You need some kind of substance,
right. They never picked it up,
and so there was no substance. Like, there's no. You can't pick up. It's like picking up a cotton ball and saying, "I want you to throw this 40 yards." Like,
in all fairness to NBC, again, because there are no stars there, how do you publicize it? How do you make it, literally, the XFL and NBA All-Star Weekend had more publicity than an indoor championship.
That's another problem too.
And then the reason being, again, why would the elite athletes show up, knowing what their prize money is and the ramifications of getting a strain in an indoor season without making it worth their while? It's just no way. I mean, if you want the athletes to be there, you gotta give them the money. Simple as that.
How about this? Think about this. How many of the elite athletes were at the All-Star game instead of at the indoor championships?
If they had stayed in the crowd, I bet we would have seen a few track and field athletes there.
I bet you would have.
We probably would have, yeah.
Listen, I remember, what was it, about 5-6 years ago? Usain Bolt was playing, and he was still running. He was playing in the Celebrity All-Star game.
Yep.
And I think timing is everything. Real estate, they say location.
Absolutely.
When it comes to sports, timing. So that night, you have a golf tournament, you have college basketball, but the thing about it is, you have to understand something. You have major college basketball games coming on in the time slot when the indoors are happening, because they know that at 8 o'clock, everybody is not going to be tuned so much on ESPN as they will TNT. Because as we could talk about the dunk contest, how good it was this year, but how bad it was. For whatever reason, everybody tunes in to see the 3-point contest and to see the dunk contest. It could be the worst thing in the world. You can use, I don't know, any of these dunkers, man, this is going to suck and everything, but they still watch.
They're going to watch. Yep.
And so
you never complain about it. Yes.
Yeah. And so with track and field, it's just like, and I'm guessing maybe you don't want to interfere, with the college athletes, but the college athletes have been off for like a couple weeks now. I think they race next week or whatever. So
but I mean, that's the thing. The college, it's going to be really hard to get college athletes to come to an indoor if they're still, if
well, no, I didn't want them to come to the indoor. I didn't want them to come to the indoor. I'm saying host it a week before the college athletes have their indoor championship, because now if you host it this weekend, what's going on this weekend that's overly big? Nothing.
No, I don't
As
think
Well,
far as
the
the
college
Daytona
championships are going on, or conference.
conference
College conference
this week.
championships are going on this weekend.
But
Yeah.
even still, like,
Yeah.
that's still something that, because here's the thing, now that they're on ESPN3 and you have to pay for it, from what I heard, at least, you have to have, they're on ESPN Plus or whatever it is, you have to pay for the subscription.
Mm-hmm.
People watch NBC, not everybody's going to pay.
For what? For the SECs and stuff?
Yeah.
Yes. The SEC is on the Plus if you want to watch it early, and then you watch it later. Yeah, but they're doing with all of them.
I'm out.
I mean, you'll see it. You'll see it later, but you probably won't see it live. You more likely won't see it live. You need social
good.
media.
I ain't gonna be watching that one anyway.
Yeah, so it's just timing, because, like I said, you are pinched between. We think about it. You're pinched between the All-Star game, and then let's just say we want to move it on Sunday. Well, Sunday was the Daytona 500. So Sunday was the other NBA All-Star game. So you finish watching the Daytona 500, and guess what? You flip it on the NBA All-Star game.
Yeah,
so
but you know what? There's ways to have counter programming, and I could literally see where the track and field could lead into wanting to watch NASCAR or lead into something like that.
Right.
Like you mentioned, Bolt was in the celebrity thing before. If USATF or someone in the world want to get some more athletes involved, hey, let's talk to the NBA. Let's get one or two athletes. I mean, they had that celebrity all-star game. It wasn't like they could play. Like, most of them couldn't play. You know. So it was like it was the DK Metcalf show again. And this dude, I mean, he just showing how.
But here's the thing, Coach. Both of you guys. Here's what I thought. This is honest to God's truth. Why not call the NFL? Hey, Pro Bowl weekend. Let's send 2 of our dudes out, and we'll have a fastest man competition. We'll bring that back. 50 yards. You give me Tyreek Hill, and then we'll pick our best. Winner plays for $100K.
You're gonna have to, because the NFL will say we'll do it. The question will be,
who's gonna put up the money?
Will Nike do it? Would New Balance do it? Would Asics allow their athlete to be a part of it and saying, we're going to do this?
I think the answer is yes. I do, because Tyreek Hill is on Twitter talking about, he's saying Trayvon Bromell, they're trying to set something up for March 10th. Now, that remains to be destroyed. But here's the thing: there's been so much talk on it, but from the standpoint of branding, what's the best way to get the New Balance brand out there than to tune in? So ESPN are promoted up, right? John Anderson, love John Anderson, friend of the show, and he does a great job of at least, trying to push the track agenda, whether it works or not, I can honestly say he tries. But let's just say this is a big deal. You're playing for money and everything. If I'm New Balance, I'm saying, Bromell, go out there. The reason being, because when people zoom in, they're looking at the New Balance logo. They're looking at the New Balance shoe. And so from a marketing standpoint, this brings exposure. So think about it. Bromell does Tyreek Hill. I guarantee you, whatever Trayvon Bromell was wearing the next day will be in every New Balance store and every running store in America, showcased, and it pretty much every track athlete, specifically in high school, is going to get that. We know the technology are changing in the spikes. So for me, it's a marketing opportunity.
Well, Dom, I understand, but here's where I'll play devil's advocate. It's a lose-lose for Bromell or any athlete. It's actually a lose-lose. You win where you're supposed to win. You're a track athlete. This is what you do.
Right.
You lose. Told you these guys weren't worth anything. Football player come out there and beat them and everything. He can't win. There's just no way for him to win in doing it. Great. The exposure that track and field could potentially get sounds great, but the problem is the mainstream for the other sports are going to basically say, well, he was supposed to win. You know, that's what he does. You know,
right.
The only way to, I don't know a way of countering that. You know, maybe you have, there's got to be another way of countering. You know, Tyreek Hill's trying to call these guys out, but it doesn't matter if Tyreek Hill loses. No one will care because Tyreek Hill plays football and he'll still be the fastest guy playing football. So, you know, the only bragging right will be, yeah, we got him to be quiet here, but everybody in NFL is going to say this guy was running with Olympians. You know, how much pop did DK Metcalf get for that brief period of time when he ran in that race, and when he went back for training camp, and it's like, oh yeah, he's literally legitimately this kind of fast and all this stuff. Did it help our sport? Nothing. It didn't do anything. It was a lose-lose, even though he lost. It was like no big deal.
Well, here's the other thing: there's the sport in promoting whatever the competition is, whatever the head-to-head, you know, a Trayvon versus Tyreek Hill, or you know, whatever, or a Noah Lyles versus the world, whoever. It needs to come, and it can't be the shoe companies. It can be sports related, but you also have to have bigger and better, like today brands, technology, right? That's one, technology. So let's say, well, before they, you know, blew up, crypto.com, right? I would go after them and try and get them on board to the events. Google, Meta, you know, Facebook, Apple, right? I would go after all of those brands' sponsorships for these events, and they would have, you know, preferred placements everywhere, you know, all over the place. And then the athletes need to go themselves. If I'm an athlete, I look in the past, and again, this is because I've seen probably half a dozen or so videos and races of Greg Foster. But in those races, you know what I saw? Was reminded of Mazda Track Club.
Yep, Mazda.
Foot Locker. Right?
Yes.
So those were two major brands, you know, in track and field. And then Invitational was the Sunkist Invitational that was held out in California, right? So these were not all just shoe related. That shoes was almost whatever, right? It was sustained by multiple brands coming into this space that supported track and field, and these people made money off of it. You know, they were made whole. They got prize money. Sometimes they got appearance money, right? Because just like with golf, right? They had a lead sponsor, and then there was a whole bunch of sub sponsors. Right. Just like the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Right? So no different. Why is it that USA Track and Field, and it doesn't take USA Track and Field even to get that right? Whoever's having an event, say, hey, Meta, hey, Crypto, hey, Apple, somebody, Mazda, Genesis, you know, hell, I would go after Genesis right now, right? Because they just had a major event, and by all right and reason, you know, it was a successful event. So hey, listen, Genesis, you know, hell, go after, you know, the fast Porsche, whoever, you know, Porsche is directly related to speed. Right? Track and field. You think of track and field first. You don't think of long running. You think of speed. So, you know, I think people are missing opportunities by not really pushing the envelope. Almost like Mr. NIL, the king of NIL, who took his shot to 100 companies to get the one.
Yep.
And now his one has turned into 100.
Yep. You're absolutely right.
Let's switch gears to something a little bit more positive. Fred Kerley signed with Asics.
Yes.
I think this is a huge deal.
It is.
I don't think, because people are talking about, oh, he sticks it to Nike. Well, here's the thing. Nike is so global that, you know, if you start seeing people breaking world records in Asics and not Nikes and, you know, other people, specifically these distance brands with New Balance and Brooks and, you know, some of these teams, because, you know, Nike have, you know, they have their funded teams. But if you start seeing some of these other brands start to break records, okay, well, then that changes things. But from you all's perspective, how big of a deal was it that Fred Kerley signed with Asics?
Brett, you want to go first?
Sure, I'll go first. Yeah, that was huge. I think that was absolutely huge. The world sprint champion left Nike and went to another brand. He wasn't pregnant. He wasn't injured.
Yep.
You know, by all right and reason, everything is good with him. But he was like, hey, peace. I'm out. I got a better deal somewhere else. Mm-hmm. Now, the real question is, what was Nike thinking in this whole thing? Did they approach it as, all right, you know, it's track. All right, if he leaves, no big deal. We'll get somebody else to replace him. Or did they go, hey, look, Fred's our guy. You know, he's been loyal. We'll throw him a couple extra chips. You know, and he'll be back. Oh, shoot, he's not. Uh-oh. You know, surprise. So the question is, what was Nike's state of mind in that? But I think it's just not a good look for them. I'll say at a minimum, even if for them it's not a huge financial deal. You know, I don't know that he has his own his own shoe, like Usain Bolt with Puma. He had his own shoe, right? But I don't know that Fred had his own particular shoe with Nike. But hey, listen, clearly they backed up the Brinks truck and said, hey, Fred, here you go. And, you know, because Fred Kerley, per his own statement, he wants to be among the highest paid athletes, not track athletes mm-hmm. in the world. He wants to be on that list. So, hey, go to where, just same as Coach was just saying, look, I'm going to be sporting a Michigan hat. Why? Because they might be throwing the money.
Yep.
Follow the money.
Follow the money.
Here's my thought. Here's my thoughts on it. It means nothing. And this is why I say what. This is why it means nothing. Because as great as Fred is, who knows Fred Kerley? Who knows anything about Fred Kerley? What do we know about Fred Kerley? As a track guy, we used to go, Fred's a fool for leaving the 400 to go down to the 100. We didn't think he could do it. Fred proved just about everybody who thought that wrong. However, Fred hasn't broken a world record.
Right.
And Fred hasn't done something that says, you need to pay me bigger money because I am a brand on myself by just showing up at meets. No, Fred hasn't done that yet. So Asics is taking the process like, okay, Fred, come be our guy. Come be the face of Asics, and we're going to pay you a lot of money to be the face, and maybe you can bring other guys. And Nike's like, what do we care? We can just go look in the college ranks right now, and well, here comes Michael Williams. Here comes this kid. Here comes that kid. There's all these others. There's still kids in college that, hey, we still got Bolin hasn't left, and so many other kids are still in college that they haven't either. Like, they'll be there. They'll be fine. And the biggest part about them is when you line up at world championships or in things, the nationals, there'll be Fred and his Asics, and there'll be 3 Nike athletes and 2 Adidas athletes. That Nike doesn't care. You know, Fred isn't Allison Felix. That was the big deal. Fred's not Allison, you know, and
Right.
you know, of course, Allison was for a lot of reasons, but Allison was a known commodity outside of track. Fred is not known outside of track. So for them, I don't believe it's a big deal for Nike. And in the track world, we can be aghast like, okay, here comes a good thing for Asics. But in the grand scheme of things, Nike doesn't care, and I don't know if it shifts the needle more. What I do see though is what Puma's been doing and grabbing athletes is changing the game. Because Puma's been going across the board. When they got Abby, I was like, that was a big deal. It's like
that was
they
big deal.
sold Abby. That you know, Abby had been wearing beat up Nikes all that time.
Yeah.
And Puma said, come with us. And Abby said, I'm going with you. That was a big one. I'm like, whoa. That's crazy.
Yeah. Now that was a big one. Abby's the one who really, who if you look at it, I agree with you on that. I still think Fred was a big deal, and I'll say within track and field, right? Within this track and field lane, yes, there's a big deal, right? Because I think it shows athletes something else. That
I agree with you there. Yes, no, that's a great point. Yes,
but what Abby did, she kicked Nike in the teeth with that 300-meter American record.
Yep, she did.
Yeah.
That's what she did. Yes,
sure did.
That's what I mean. Abby did not choose Nike. She went to Puma, and then Abby's just shown afterwards why she's one of those. And not only, you know, because most people thought Puma is Jamaican. You know, it's mostly Abby's not Jamaican. Abby don't look Jamaican. Abby, there's no one anybody gonna look at Abby and say she from Jamaica. No, they're never gonna say that about Abby Steiner. So you know, it ain't gonna be. So when she went to Puma, and you're like, Nike didn't get her and Adidas didn't get her, now that's a big deal, because now there's been a bunch of flow going towards Puma and not Nike. There's another player in this game. You know, it was Nike and Adidas. New Balance got Sydney. Whoa. Sydney went to New Balance, and Gabby Thomas went to New Balance, and Emma Colburn went to New Balance, and so all these others went to New Balance. It was like, okay, New Balance is a new player in the game, and you figure when Abby was coming out, well, she's probably going to do New Balance because she went to Kentucky and all the things when Sydney was on all the stuff. And Abby said, I'm going to change everything and go to Puma. And it's like, whoa, now Puma's people an ideal for people to go. So in Fred's sense, going to Asics, it's got to be more than just Fred, though. That's the whole thing. I agree with that. It's got to be more than Fred.
Right.
If they can grab someone else, then we can say, okay, now we've got some real competition, and it's going to be better for the athletes all together, because you're going to have to pay people to go there. Nike can't deal them, and Adidas.
Right.
I think that, and I saw this tweet, if you're a free agent sprinter, Fred going to Asics just kind of opened things up for everybody.
Yes.
In a sense. So I think from that standpoint, it's a pretty big deal. I also think that it gives other companies incentives to have a balanced apparel. Saucony just released their endorphin shoe, their distance shoe. Who was the famous sprinter who ran for Saucony before he retired?
What's that? Who's the Saucony guy?
Without looking it up.
I'm trying to remember. Who was it?
I'll tell you. Wallace Spearman.
Wallace Spearman, yes.
Yeah, he was.
I was close. I just couldn't. I saw a light-skinned dude.
Yeah, I was trying to. Yeah.
Wallace Spearman. So here's what I think with Asics, and I honestly believe this is going to be the case with other brands because of what you guys just said. New Balance has balance because New Balance has an elite sprinter, two elite sprinters. You got Trayvon Bamel. You have, you have the GOAT. You have Sydney. Let's just call it what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But guess who else saying? You got Sid, Trayvon, Emma Colburn. Huge. But guess who else you have that you can hang?
Gabby.
Not just Gabby. Emily Sisson.
Yep.
Now you
Long
can
distance,
say, check this out.
Across
We
the
are
board.
not just distance. We have it in the sprints with Sid. Gabby Thomas has, the American record in the 200. The fourth fastest time of all time. We have it, when it comes to the hurdles, obviously we Sid, the sprints with Trayvon and all that stuff, the middle distance with Emma Coburn. Jenny Simpson was formerly with New Balance. You mentioned Puma. Well, guess who's running Puma now? Jenny Simpson.
Okay.
Jenny Simpson is with Puma.
Yep.
Jenna Prandini.
Get that. Mondo
Yep.
Mondo Duplantis is with Puma.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, Marcel Jacobs. If I'm not mistaken, I have to double check that. Is
Marcel.
Puma.
Yeah, Marcel Jacobs.
I think the key is balance. If you're going to try to stick it to say, you know what, we pay our athletes, we are the company that you need to invest in because we have something for everybody. We're not just focused on the sprint. It's not just the sprint capital, we're not just focused on distance racing. Rather, we have it for everybody, and it's been successful. I think you have to do what Puma's doing. I think you have to do what New Balance is doing. And Coach Rob, to your point, if Asics can follow suit, so right now there are some free agent sprinters, and if I am Brooks, I'll be honest with you, if I'm Brooks, if I'm Saucony, I'm saying, yo, we need to kind of hype this train because you have a class of sprinters, specifically sprinters, that's coming up after this year. Because if we've seen anything, just because you go to a Nike school does not mean that you're automatically going to sign with Nike.
Exactly.
Because everybody thought Jenna Prandini was with Uncle Phil. Okay, she's going to be with Nike. No, she goes Puma. Abby Steiner, Kentucky.
Yep.
Where is she now? Puma. Romel, Baylor, Puma. So it does not automatically mean I haven't even talked about somebody. Well, no, she's Adidas, but still, there's just a crop of sprinters that we are seeing that I believe there is going to be. I think Fred going to Asics is big for them because now you're not just looking at Nike. Fred just went to Asics. Okay, I need to step back. I need to view my options. Just look at Fambole from Florida. He didn't sign with Nike. So I think it's big from that standpoint, from a track and field standpoint. Like I said, if we're gonna if you're gonna stick it to Nike, then to be honest with you, you have to win the marathon. Somebody from the United States or somebody that is not affiliated with Nike has to win the marathon in a pair of New Balance, in a pair of Pumas, in a pair of Brooks, because money is made in the marathons. That's just the hard reality.
That's where I gotta pull back on that one. I think for if it's not necessarily sticking it to Nike, but when you're talking about apparel and like you're mentioning, because the money's made because they want people to go out there, the weekend runners, because that's what you're referring to, the weekend runners.
Correct.
Going to put on the Nike stuff and go out and buy some Nike, distance shoes and go run and do their 5 or 10 miles and do their 5Ks and 10Ks. I don't necessarily think it has to be somebody who wins the marathon. Okay. It just has to be someone who literally grabs your attention by what they do. So that's why when Abby going to Puma, that grabbed the attention. Now, when Abby goes out and starts doing the things that she does, and she's set in 300 and she runs outdoors, and she's wearing the Puma leotard, unitard, and she's wearing Puma shoes, and you're going to see a lot of kids go out and buy more Puma stuff. I think if we see kids still, some of these college kids who are about to make that transition and they go to the NCAAs and then they're about to go into world trials and stuff, and they make those deals, that's where you're going to start seeing where they're going to make that decision. I don't think it's just the marathon. I think it's going to be like Caitlin Toohey
Yeah.
didn't sign with anybody. She could sign with anybody right now and be good. But she signed with, what's her NIL deal, Brett? Who she did an
Adidas.
NIL deal with?
Adidas.
She did that. She's not with Adidas though. She just did a deal. So she set up because she wants to stay in school and do her thing. So she set up to potentially, but she's still basically a free agent. Imagine Caitlin Toohey goes out there. Caitlin Toohey goes out there, goes to nationals, goes to the worlds, and she finishes 5. And here it is, little Pixies run with the hair and all that, and runs, and she does great against the world. And she finishes in the top 5. She's going to be somebody who could change the game by saying, no, I don't want to go. I don't like Adidas. I don't want to do Adidas. I'll do Asics or Brooks or Saucony or something. I wish somebody would do, would literally go away from the shoe companies and just go to an apparel company and figure out a way to get it done.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm wishing someone would say, forget the shoe companies at all and go to an apparel company.
Right.
And start it all over again and do something that way where your brand is already bigger. And just be, apparel designed by Abby Steiner or whatever case may be. In that sense, the shoes be less of a matter. It's more their apparel that they put their name to that they can go on. Because you're right. People see the designs and they see the stuff, but that's not the athletes. Somebody else is designing the every time they have a new uniform, it's not because Sydney designed it or somebody else designed. They're wearing what the Adidas people said, or the New Balance people said is the colors for this year, and go out and wear it.
I think Will Clay did that.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, but you need, to your points, you need more.
Yes.
Like if you got, there's somebody who fails me. I don't know if it was a track and field or someone else, but they did do their own design. But you need more. You need more.
Yep.
So that actually would be a big deal, because that would change the game, and finances, you make a lot more.
Yep.
Than you would from a shoe company. Gentlemen, I appreciate you guys as always. Please tell them about their show that comes out on Wednesday nights.
Right.
You got it, Coach Lewis?
Well, our Wednesday nights on the Try 99 Network and Facebook, we have Out the Blocks with Coach Shields, myself, and Coach Donna. 30 some odd years in the game. I ain't saying the number. Our show is track and field. I love a track and field on what we're doing. This week, we're talking with some of our kids who've already attended college and graduated and what they're doing afterwards. And a good show about, life after track was one of our, it's a really good show to talk about athletes with life after track and what they're doing. We got some great guests for that. And then the week after, we got a biggie coming. So like Coach Shields talk about that. But yeah, our show is 8:30 to 9:30. Well, actually 8:30 to about 9:45, or when Coach Donna says, y'all see these bags under my eyes. And that's when we shut it down.
It's a great network of coaches on there that not only talk but commentate in the comment section as well.
Oh, tell me about it.
This is about it's just listen. If you are new in the game or you want to learn something about track and field, you need to watch those shows. Don't go on Twitter and social media with the armchair coaches. You actually need to go seek out wisdom. It will help you in the long run. So, gentlemen, I appreciate you guys as always. Until next time, peace.